Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Football United TV. We are here today joined by two top Man United fans, Matteo and Unofficial Pundit. Guys, how you doing?
Excellent, man. Good to be back on.
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to Wednesday now. That's where my mind's focused.
Yeah, same here, mate. Yeah, that's the whole point of the show. We're talking about the Europa League Final, Villareal versus Man United, and starting off with you, Pundit. I mean, talking about today's game against Wolves, 2-1. Everyone raving and ranting about the team and the fact that players did very well. But from what you saw, you don't think the same thing. Like, what did you make of it today?
I look at the players out there and I see players that I just don't think are good enough to be on the bench for Manchester United, let alone starting. Yeah, it was a good result, but I think that Wolves team are terrible. At one point, they had like 80% possession of the ball. And it's like, if this was a good team, we would have been in trouble. There's a lot of players I look at and just think, I don't see anything from you that makes me think, next season, if we get 4, 5, 6 injuries, which does happen, can you come in and fill that gap? And the way I'm looking at it, I'm sorry that they can't. No disrespect to Mata, he's tried and he's always been a loyal servant at the club, but he's finished. At one point, I forgot he was playing. I was happy we got the penalty. I knew he would be taking it because I feel like this could be his last game, which I think is the right thing to do as well. He can still go somewhere in Spain, good weather and that, which is his home, and he can still play some decent football, I think, for another club. It's just the Premier League is the tempo's so high now, and the demand at United is so big. I think Matt has done. Who else? Matic. I think it's terrible. I'm seeing people tweet that him and Donny van der Beek run the midfield, and I think did I watch a different game? Like, he won one out of, from the stats I've seen. Someone's put some different stats up. He won 1 out of 6 ground duels. He was dribbled past 5 times. And we're not talking about, we didn't just play prime Barcelona. And you can say, listen, it's not his fault, Joe. Messi just kept running past him. We played against Wolves, who have been poor this season. Raul Jimenez out, and a few of the players they've signed and got rid of. Wolves ain't been great. They finished 13th. This is a Wolves team who people said were going to finish above United this season. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. At the beginning of the season, everyone said Wolves are going to finish above United. They finished 13th. He was terrible, I thought. Donny van der Beek, I really want to like him. I like little bits that he does, but I just don't see anything from him where I think, do you know what? You should be starting for United. I don't, and that's not me trying to be harsh. I'm just being truthful. There's nothing today that said to me, do you know what? How was this guy not starting for United? I look at someone like Alex Telles. I think he's terrible. He was dribbled past 3 times today. Everything good from Wolves came down their right wing, which is our left. And this was a guy that was meant to be coming in, who was meant to be sensational at Porto, coming in, and apparently Luke Shaw didn't stand a chance, was going to be his boot carrier. Let's be honest, Alex Telles couldn't get in front of Luke Shaw if Luke Shaw was injured. Like, I'm sorry, that's just me being honest. I don't feel like Bailly was any good today. I thought Twanzebe was better than Bailly. I might be being harsh, but Amid Diallo come to Man United and was apparently meant to be the new Messi. Bro, I saw him against Leicester. I've seen him again today, and there's nothing that makes me sit at the edge of my seat and think, wow. Nothing at all. I'm sorry, and you might think I'm being harsh, but I looked at his stats. He had 1 shot on target, which was that tame shot late on before he got subbed. He had 2 successful dribbles out of 6. In the first half, it was 0 out of 3. Like, you're meant to be really skillful and could go past players. He wasn't just playing against the best defence in the world. And I just thought, and people give me stick and say, no, he's a young kid. I know, but you're going out there playing today against a poor Wolves team who are playing for nothing. This is where you're meant to be out there and be able to really express yourself and really rip them apart. Like, I didn't see any of that. I don't, and people might think I'm being harsh, but I'm looking at next season. And if we don't sign at least 5 players, I'm not talking about 5 starters, but at least very decent squad players as well. What happens if we get 5 or 6 major injuries? What happens if Rashford is injured again. Like he's been playing most of the season injured, but can't play. And Bruno's out. And people give Fred and McTominay a lot of stick, but I think they're forgetting a lot of games that they played in. We won against big teams, against strong midfields, because they were fantastic in midfield. What happens if those two are injured together? Pogba's got no discipline to play in that role, and Pogba on the left ain't better than Marcus Rashford. So what do you do in this situation? We've seen Pogba and Matic play together. They done it against Sheffield United. They were both diabolical. We lost at home. That was a midfielder, Pogba and Matic. And just before that game, I remember people saying, "Oh, we should be playing Pogba and Matic in midfield. They're better than Fred and McTominay." Like, I'm worried about next season, if I'm honest with you. I feel like we can win the final, even though not having Maguire there is going to be a problem. It's going to be a huge problem, I think. But I feel like we can win the final. But then you finish second and won a trophy. If we don't go out in the transfer window and really make a statement, and I don't mean go out and sign 5 world-class players. That don't happen because they're not all going to start. But I mean, get a Sancho, maybe another really good player, starter, and then 3 decent squad players. If we don't do that, we could find ourselves finishing 3rd or 4th next season and not winning anything. And that worries me because then you're just going backwards. And I wouldn't even blame Ole. That's my issues. That's what I'm worried about. Like, you got Cavani, who's going to be 35 next season. He's already said this season he can't play 3 games in a week. What if he gets another injury? That could, when you get older, injuries last longer. That could keep you out for ages. How is Martial going to come back? Because the fans hate him at the moment. He'll get stick for anything he does. I'm worried after this season if we don't do something in the transfer window, and this ball just don't seem to care. They don't seem to care enough to go out and do anything special.
No, I agree. I agree with that, mate. Would you say that, Matteo? You think that is the problem? Like, it's a bit of a worry this summer because we're linked to so many players yet again, and it seems reluctant for the board to actually like pull the money out of their pocket and actually get the players that we do need, especially after what Pundit said about Maguire maybe not starting the season. I mean, he's out for a long time, isn't he? He's not going to be back for a while. So
he's included in the Euro squad, but I don't know how soon he's going to be back. So that is a concern. You could say that this season we overachieved. I mean, they're always going to throw the banter at United that, oh, we're going to do better. Wolves is going to do better. Arsenal's going to do better. Chelsea's going to do better. Leicester's going to do better. I do fear for the squad depth. Even though we have, a couple talents, it is true what Unofficial is saying. I don't think he's being that harsh. I think he's reminding us of the standard that we should be at, to be honest. Like even buying Ahmad for like 40 million, like that's a huge buy. Like he was supposed to be one of the top 5 talents like in Europe. And he's done a little bit, but nothing like wow. The same with Donny van de Beek coming from Ajax. I think the system suited him there, and then here at the Premier League, you're a little bit more exposed to different oppositions. So that also doesn't suit him. Alex Telles coming from Portugal and being one of the top like talents there, probably the best left back in Europe. They were saying. He comes over here. He's just like a shadow of himself. I don't know if that's with injuries. I don't know if it's because he's been out of game time. What else did you touch upon? Yeah, our midfield's a concern. If we get a couple injuries, it can look really bad. So I agree with Unofficial. I think that it doesn't have to be Sancho, Kane, like the world beater, like the 5 signings. But I do think we need 5 players like to bolster like the starters and the bench, because what happens if we get some injuries, we're screwed. We're really screwed. I don't think we could have, if we were lucky, I think this year to not get many injuries to get to the position that we did, because if we had lost the players that Liverpool lost, I think we would have struggled. Like we wouldn't even have made top 4.
I couldn't agree more with what he said there. We would have struggled. We would be in the same position as Arsenal, and we got a much better starting 11 than Arsenal. Much better starting 11 than Arsenal. We know that, but it's our squad depth that really worries me. And I don't listen to people about oh, these are the players. You can't go and sign Mbappe and Kane and expect one of them to sit on the bench because you're going to sign Sancho and you're going to sign Grealish as well, and you're going to have world class players. This isn't FIFA. World class players, you can't just stick them on the bench and they're going to be ready to play. You've got to have decent players on the bench that also will come in and do their best and are good players. And in games where you can give players a little rest, you bring other players in, you don't feel the standard drop too much. You've only made a couple of changes, but the standard hasn't dropped that much. And I'm not just picking on Ahmad, but I'm sorry, he's 18, and before he signed for United for that big fee, he had never played a professional game for Atalanta. I think in total he had played 56 minutes for them, coming on a sub for 11 minutes and 7 minutes and all that. You got Ansu Fati, who's 16 and ripping it up at Barcelona. I've seen other youngsters at 16, 17, 18 and ripping it up. Diallo's 18 now, he's going to be 19. And I've seen nothing from him that suggests that he should be at United. Nothing at all. If he didn't come with this huge top 5 youngsters in the world and he came from our academy and his name was James Smith, oh God, could you imagine the abuse he'd be getting? The abuse he would be getting because he's an academy player. They'll be saying it's only because he's British that he's anywhere near the team. And that's where it lies. I just think this is how short we are. Imagine next season, you stick with this. You just buy a Sancho, no squad players, and then players like Sancho and Rashford are injured. Who are you going to play on the wings? What, Diallo and James? It's not going to work. We will be in trouble. And it really, really worries me at United that after this season, what's going to happen? I have not. Do you know what it was? I've got no faith after the summer we just had. I'm sorry. If you sign Cavani with Sancho, yeah, great signing. When Cavani's your marquee signing and Sancho was meant to get the number 7 shot and you've given it to Cavani, and fans are going crazy about it. The same fans that hate the Glazers and are protesting and breaking into Old Trafford want to go out and buy number 7 Cavani shirts and say he's broke the curse. You're condoning what the Glazers have done. You're saying to them, thank you, we're idiots who will protest, but at the same time scream, Cavani, 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 my number 7. But they got him for free. Cavani shouldn't have been number 7. He should have had a different number, and Sancho should have been the number 7. Then it was a fine signing. You went and bought Donny van der Beek when both Bruno and Pogba both want to play in the number 10. You've still got Mata who wants to play in the number 10. Lingard was still there that wants to play in the number 10. You've gone and bought Donny. That's his position. You've gone and bought Alex Telles. This is not to pick on him, but 28. I never knew who he was when he was but in his first 27 years. I didn't know who he was. And when I saw, this is why I wasn't excited about the Telles signing. When I saw people tweeting about him on Twitter, I never saw clips of him great defensively and great tackles and solid and players couldn't get past him. I saw penalties and free kicks and assists, and I thought, we need someone who can defend and go forward, not just someone who can go forward. And who else did we sign? Then we signed Palestri and Diallo. It's like, after this summer, I've got no hope for any summer transfer window. I've got no hope whatsoever. This has to be one of the worst summers I've seen, because everyone said United have to get Champions League football, otherwise they won't be able to compete in the market. We went and got Champions League football and didn't compete in the market. And I think that's where we fell behind. Chelsea went out and spent 200 plus million. And that's why they're in the Champions League final. Don't get me wrong, we've done better in other aspects in Chelsea, meaning the league, but they're in the Champions League final. We went out in the group stage after winning our first 2 games. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm not worried. I'm worried for next season. I really am, depending on what happens in the summer.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Matteo, how do you feel about going into Wednesday's game? Do you think it will make a difference, both of you? Like, if, say, we lose the Europa League final, will the owners think we need to do a little bit more in the transfer window, or do you think by winning it, they're just going to think that we've got a good enough team to go into the next season and don't have to worry too much about filling in the gaps?
It's almost a lose-lose the question you're proposing there, because if we win, they're going to think, oh, we're better than we are. If we lose, then we have to invest, but we just lost a chance at a trophy. So either way, like that goes, that's not a good situation for us. I think that we should win and invest. That's the win-win. But the lose-lose would be if we win and don't invest enough, or if we lose and then we do invest, we just missed out on a trophy. So it's like in both ways, I think that's a concern. I just want to touch up on a couple things that Unofficial said there on the fact of like the jersey sales, like supporting the team. That's why I don't have a United jersey on today. I have a España jersey for our boy Juan Mata. Unfortunately, he's going to be, it looks like this might be, you know, his last game. I don't know if it's his last season. He's been decent for us. We got him from Chelsea, and he was double player of the year for them. But since he came when Moyes was here, it just hasn't been the same. I think he's past it, and it goes back to the investment. I just kind of wanted to tie all that in. I just think that we have too many players that are past it. Matic has glimpses, but he's just lost the yard of pace. The same with Mata. It's all very concerning. We really need some signings. But on the note of Palestri and Ahmad, I did see this clip that Dragon sent to me. That it was Avram talking about how United's foundation and basis is you know, having an under 18 team, under 16, under 14, under 12, under 10, and he was just super proud of that. But like, if we're only going to be buying the young talents, like, that's not promised in the way that we just bought, you know, Palestri. I haven't even seen Palestri. I think he played one game, maybe. We just saw Mabry, but like last game of the season. Like, even still, I think that Ollie could have played youth a bit more if that's what they believe. If that's our ethos, if that's like what we're supposed to be doing, blend it in a little bit more. But I just don't think that we have the right. We have experience, but we don't have that crucial age group, like that, you know, 26, 27, 28-year-old, like that youthfulness, but experience, not past it, that we can blend it with you know, these young talents and these academy products. So it's really concerning. It's really concerning. Like, you know, we could be a little bit passive about it, but Unofficial's absolutely right. We should be pissed off. We should be, you know, upset about the fact that we're not getting the investment, and it's been too many years, and all the fans are upset. Like, over in the Liverpool United game, you know, breaking into the stadium. I don't condone that, but it's like, the frustration's just been built up to the point that we feel that we're not appreciated, and our support goes for nothing. So it's not good. It's not good. I think that for we have to go out and win Wednesday. Maguire's a big loss, so we definitely need a center back reinforcement. We need some defensive reinforcements. But back to the question you asked me, it's a lose-lose. We have to win and get investment, not lose and get investment, or win and stay without investment.
I thought straight away it's a catch-22. It's like you're worried because if we lose, they will put it on Ole and then maybe not want to invest because they have in the back of their head, oh, do you know what, he might not be good enough, we're going to get rid of him. So we'll go through 6 months into the season, they'll sack him, bring another manager in, minimal investment the following season, and then fans think it's all right because they blamed it on Ole. Or we win, they don't invest, and we struggle next season. It's a difficult one, and I totally agree with what Matteo said there. Issue at United is we don't have players that are just about to hit their peak, and then you can bring these youngsters in because those players will carry them. A lot of players that are just about to hit their peak or are at the age of 26, 27, 28. This is why it's so vital to buy players from the Premier League. They don't have to be British, but they have to be from the Premier League that have played there for 3, 4, 5 seasons and are at that age because you know they're good enough. When you're buying players from other leagues that have played there, they could be coming in their peak, but really their level's not good enough for this league. So when you're going to go and buy someone who's 27, it preferably has to be from the Premier League, who's played in the Premier League since he was about 22. He's a brilliant player, and you know he's going to slot straight into the United team. There's not going to be that. It's like Tellers. Tellers might be a great player. I could be wrong there, but the Premier League might just be that too high a step for him where he hasn't played in it all his life. You know, a lot of fans that don't understand football don't realise how hard the Premier League is and how hard that step up is. It's a huge, huge step up. And do you know what? It goes back to fans. They're so reactionary because I remember Angel Gomez. he wasn't good enough for United. And you had fans moaning. If you tweet something bad about him, you'd get abuse. Then he left and he scored some goal from the halfway line. It was like, I don't even hear about him anymore. It's like he doesn't play football anymore. That's how poor he is. That's how poor he was. And that's what we're hearing about. I don't watch the under 21s and all that because I don't get excited about them. I've seen enough players over my time. I've been watching that United avid since the 90s. And I've seen enough players that, this is going to be the next player. And that was going to be the next player. They're so good in the youth system. But as soon as they come to the real men's football, they're just not good enough. And as much as I'm hoping that Mowbray is going to be this sensational player and Shorter is going to be this sensational player, I can't sit there and hope for that when we've already brought enough academy players through. Rashford's from the academy, McTominay's from the academy, Brendan Williams is from the academy. We've brought academy players through. We've got so many there now. How many more are we going to bring through? Is that just what we're going to do? Because then we've got to face it that we're not aiming for titles. We're just aiming to be a team in the league. That's the truth. And I don't know. I don't know where United go from here. It's worrying, and that's why I've seriously considered after Wednesday. I'm hoping to win the title so I can end it on high and just close my page down and get back to just watching football and enjoying football. Because I don't enjoy this anymore, arguing with fans. And then I argued with fans for 2 seasons about Luke Shaw. 2 seasons. Just beginning of this season, he was getting called fat and shit and all that. Now those same fans, some of them have blocked me and all that, and people have sent me their tweets and we laugh about it. They're talking about Luke Shaw like they always knew he was fantastic. It's like, no, you didn't. These same fans a couple of seasons ago were abusing Marcus Rashford. I remember being outside the stadium and someone said to me, beginning of last season, someone said to me, I don't see Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial scoring 20 goals together, like joint, over all competitions. I said, what? That means they only have to get 10 goals a year. I don't think they're good enough to do that. And then look at what they both did last season together. How many goals they got and how many assists they got on that. Like, Martial was the loved one. Now he's the hated one because he had a bit of a torrid season. And because they got a new fanboy, they're like Cavani. And they abuse him week in, week out. What they were doing with Shaw. And it's just like, this is what social media has become. That's why the 2 teams that struggle the most are Manchester United and Arsenal. Because they abuse their players the most. That's how bad they are. You'd have the same fans that will say, you should support every player. When I put a tweet out there about Tellez and Matic and Mata and Ahmad. But they're the same fans that every chance they get, they'll abuse Phil Jones. Well, guess what? Phil Jones has won a Premier League title. None of these players have. These players should feel ashamed that they're not even good enough to do that. When we had a chance to do it, they played at home against Sheffield United and lost.
Yeah.
Phil Jones has won a title, and he played a lot of games that season when we won the title. I'm not saying Phil Jones is sensational. There's a tweet out there now that Phil Jones kept more clean sheets in less games than Ruben Diaz did in more games. So Phil Jones kept 15 clean sheets in 23 games, Premier League games. This was in 17-18. Ruben Diaz only kept 14 in 31. And I'm not saying Phil Jones is better than him, but Phil Jones that's how much abuse he gets by United fans. That the poor guy didn't even want to do a testimonial. He's been there for over 10 years. Like, it's tough. Fans are one of the worst things. I know that sounds horrible, but they are. They will abuse any player. They will jump on social media and abuse any player. And do you know what? I became victim of it myself. When I saw fans abusing Rashford for someone else, I would now abuse that player. And I've gone back through a lot of my tweets, and I feel embarrassed. But the truth is, that's what social media is. And that's why I put a tweet out there today. I don't think Tellez is good enough. I don't think Mata's past his best. I loved Mata at one point. I did. But he's past his best. You heard Mateo said it himself. And you know what it was with Mata? I'll be honest with you, with Mata as well, is I feel sorry for him. I don't think United was the right fit for him when he left Chelsea. United have always wanted to play this fast football down the wings. And they tried putting Mata on the wing. That's not the football he plays. And I think that was probably the worst move for Mata going to United because it just wasn't the right fit. Not because he wasn't a good player, just wasn't the right fit for him. I don't know if Mateo agrees with that. He knows he might have watched Mata more. At Chelsea, they played a different system, Chelsea. It wasn't fast, and that's why he was great. They double player of the year. When Mata was playing at Chelsea, I was gassed when we was getting him. So I thought, wow, how have we managed to nick this one off of Chelsea? But over the years, even though even though I've really always tried to support Mata, my younger brother, he loves Mata. I had to sit down. At some point, you have to sit down and think, okay, why is it not going right? It can't just be all the managers. It can't just be what. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, do you know what? Mata's not a shit player. He just doesn't suit United, and that happens sometimes. A player doesn't suit that team. Like I said, Matic is well past his best. Diallo, I would love to see him go out on loan in the summer. I think he has to be able to play week in, week out, and then you'll know if he's good enough. And that's why I put a tweet out. I hope the Pereira's coming back, and I hope Pereira stays when he comes back, because we're not going to get our money for him. And every time Pereira played, he might not be fantastic, but he'll always give his all. And we need a squad. We need a squad. This is my issue. We need a squad at United. And there's been some games where Pereira's fantastic for United. I remember that goal he scored against Southampton. What a goal that was. Like, there's been some games where Pereira's good.
I'd rather there's some really good academy players that over Pereira, to be honest. Like I agree that like some of our young players need more, but I think this is part of the problem of Manchester United is that we have a lot of players that need to be moved, need to be shipped on, and what that's doing is that's stunting the growth. Sorry, Newcastle, stunting the groove that they're celebrating outside because they won today, Newcastle actually.
But above Wolves.
They did actually. So I mean, as an aside, people saying Steve Bruce out. This is the thing about the season. Like, Premier League, different managers switch in and out. At the beginning of this season, I was told that Arteta, and Lampard were superior to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. One manager's been sacked, and Arteta, well, enough said. So sometimes
I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong there, but when players like Mata are probably going to be going, we know Lingard's meant to be going. That's depleting that squad even more. Bringing someone like Pereira back who you're going to get nothing for and keeping him there so he can just come in and play some of these games is better than letting him go as well. Because I think we're 5 players short at the moment. If we're going to let another 4 or 5 players go, what squad are we going to have? And I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone tells me. There's not enough youngsters in our academy that are good enough to come into the United team right now. There's no way. What are we going to do? Have 11 academy players out there?
No, not 11 academy players, but we bought for example, we bought Ahmad for a reason. This is a dude that was playing Champions League football at Atalanta and that was playing in the Serie A.
I'm sorry, he wasn't. He wasn't.
Yeah, I'm not saying
56. He played 56 minutes for Atalanta. He's never played. Yeah. Bro, you got to remember, Ansu Fati is 16 years old and ripping it up at Barcelona. And I can tell you other players that are younger who are ripping up. Marcus Rashford came into the Man United team at 18, was ripping up. There's nothing I've seen from
the point I'm trying to make is that, but at the same time, that's fine. But he was still bought for a fee of £35 million, scouted for prospects to play. Now the dude has not been given enough time to be able to do what he's done, because quite frankly, we've had players like, as you said, Matic, and I'd argue and throw in Daniel James, who are currently taking up squad space. I don't disagree with that. I feel that Manchester United are going to sign players this summer regardless. It looks like we're linked to Sancho, for example. So that's one thing. We're probably going to get a midfielder. Van der Beek is obviously there. We're probably going to get a centre back. So we're obviously going to be signing players. We always sign players in the summer. That is without a shadow. Whether they're the right players, that's another story. But United will sign players this summer. But what I do think is that there are certain players that, in my opinion, are stopping the either development or at least the opportunity for certain young players and squad players to perform, and they're not getting the opportunity because they need to be moved on. And certain players like Pereira, for example, when they've been
Ole's fault.
I agree. That's not his fault. I agree.
I don't think he rotates it well enough. Like, I'll give you an example. That we were struggling. Rashford had to play every game. We know Rashford had an injury, and he wasn't playing Dan James. And all of a sudden, brought Dan James in against Leeds, had a great game, played him for a couple of games, and then got rid of him again. I'm not saying Dan James is world class, but he's a squad player. He's still learning. He put in a great ball today.
Ahmad is better than Daniel James. I'm sorry.
He's not. He might go on to be when he's his age, but he's nowhere near better. Go and check the stats even for today's game. He's nowhere near better.
Come on.
Bro. There's nothing Ahmad did. There's nothing Ahmad did today. There's nothing Ahmad did against Leicester. Ahmad tried dribbling.
You mean the assist?
times
You mean the
today.
assist
Bro,
that he
bro,
put through to Daniel
bro,
James?
bro,
That
bro,
like
bro,
decided this
bro,
weird flick.
Are you,
That assist, you see that?
I think you're forgetting. You like Ahmad because you've never seen him play other than at Man United. He's done nothing.
What do you mean? I've never seen him play.
When did you see him play? When did you see him play? He played 56 minutes.
Did people
for
see
Atalanta.
Daniel James play at Leeds?
Bro, he played 56.
Daniel James
he
play at
played
Leeds?
56 minutes for Atalanta. How did you see Ahmad play? I don't get
People
it.
see
You
Daniel
just told
James
me-
play at Leeds.
You just told me Ahmad was playing Champions League and Serie A football. He played 56 minutes for Atalanta. He's 18 being compared to Messi.
What does that
At
have
the age
to
of
do?
17.
What does that have to do?
Matteo,
What does that have to do with what does that do Ahmad being a technically
I'm pretty
good player
sure you've watched
and Daniel
a lot
James?
of games.
I don't
in
understand.
Spain.
He's had multiple
Matteo,
opportunities.
Matteo.
One
Do you
at a
remember
time.
Lionel Messi?
Okay,
I don't know if you like in Spain.
Let him run.
Do
He
you-
keeps
do you-
interrupting me.
Do you
so
remember
let him run.
Lionel? No. Do you remember Lionel Messi, Matteo, at the age of 17, scoring a hat trick against Real Madrid when he first came on the scene? I do. And then I remember Ahmad being signed for 40 million euros, being compared to Messi, and he can't beat a shit Wolves team. And he played against Leicester the other night in a pointless game and done nothing. He might as well have not been on the pitch. He might as well have been in the stands at Atalanta, watching them, waiting to come on in the 90th minute to add a couple more minutes onto the 56 minutes. Stop going on this hype that Ahmad's better because he might have better stats on FIFA.
You mean
Ahmad's not good enough for Man United.
if I recall, let me speak. If I recall, first and foremost, he's done nothing. You talk about not watching. I actually watched the game when United playing AC Milan when he made an intelligent run and flick and got a key goal that got us through against AC Milan. So let's not go about he's not done anything. He's done absolute jack. That was a key important goal where a lot of our team actually bottled it in that game, and he came up clutch and did something important. I'm not here trying to clown our players and say that all like Dan James, all his players are trash or something. What I am saying, however, is that a lot of these players have had chances, have had multiple chances, chance after chance after chance. And it is not fair that young players that are showing what they can do in training are not given, at the very least, more game time to show what they could do. Okay, fine, you're judging on 2 games, cool. Daniel James has had multiple games, and I still don't see what there is to him. I'm not saying he's crap,
Pogba's
but
had
we
5 years.
see.
Pogba's had 5 years. I still don't see what's to him.
Go on,
Are you being real about Pogba?
Pogba's had 5 years. I still don't see anything to him.
I mean, I don't even know what. So from January to now, you can't see the importance that Pogba's had in terms of to where we are.
No, we're in the Europa League final, bro, and we're finishing second in the league. We're not doing nothing special. That's because everyone else. That's because everyone. Sorry, my son just come in. I'm coming in 2 minutes.
What?
Go on.
I don't know what to say to that. Like for me,
I don't see no importance. I see Pogba starting a game against Leicester, a shitty Leicester team. We just bottled it. I see Pogba starting that game, and we got played off the park in the FA Cup semi-final. That's what I see. Don't tell me that you're going to tell me 100 million. Bro. Listen. No. He played in midfield like he does for France. He's been shit. He's now playing further forward on the left. He's been shit. Yeah. Stop making up excuses.
How's he been shit?
If you're a footballer, you should go to play anywhere.
How's he been?
You're a footballer.
What?
You
see
should
that?
go to play anywhere.
I'm not hearing anywhere.
Who's been better this season? Pogba or Luke Shaw?
What?
Who's been better?
I don't know what to say.
Who's been better, Pogba or Luke Shaw?
Huh?
Who's been better, Pogba or Luke Shaw?
They're playing in completely different positions.
Wait. I'll ask you another question. Now I'm just asking who's been a better player. I'm going to ask you another question. Who's been better this season? Who's a better player first? Pogba or McTominay?
Pogba.
Okay. Is it even close between the two?
No.
Okay. Who's got more goals this season? Who's got more goals? McTominay's playing in a pivot of 2 with fucking Fred, who everyone says is shit. Who's got more goals?
You know the parts.
Scott McTominay is outscoring a player who cost 100 million, and his fans claim that he's the best midfielder in the world. And fucking Scott McTominay from our academy.
Are you literally comparing?
Honestly, it's embarrassing. Bro. You've come on and said Amad Diallo is better than Dan James. Amad Diallo's done fuck all other than a
right. Okay, sorry, I can't debate it. I'm out, guys. Okay, cool. You enjoy your thing, your podcast, man. I'm sorry. We can't have a conversation. We're just gonna shout.
No. We gotta bridge the gap. We gotta bridge the gap.
Red Devil, sorry, mate. Matteo, what do you think about that, mate?
No. I think first we can't be putting 2 players on our own team against each other. But I would have wanted to bridge the gap if he didn't peace out. But like I just kind of wanted to see if it would kind of level out. But yeah, I mean, it got a little aggressive there. No, I mean Ahmad hasn't shown a lot, and I didn't play a lot before, but different talents like sprout at different times. Like there has been, Messi, like you said, really young. He was showing some things, but I think Ahmad's more like an Odegaard. Even though he had that talent and he was scouted for super long ago, he didn't really come into his own until now, and now he's captain of of Norway, and he's like, Arsenal would love to keep him, but I think they don't have the money to sign him. So the point is that some talents are scouted, and when they're young, they don't really hit their peak yet. Some people do, and then they stay at their peak. But Messi's like an exception to the rule. Like anytime that Messi was going to be compared to Ahmad, that's unfair to Ahmad, because Messi's Messi. Messi's like one of the greatest of all time, and he's just a special type of talent. But there are young talents that have been already playing since 16, like even Camavinga in France I think it's for Rennes. He's like 16 years old and he's ripping it. But people develop at different times. So I think that Ahmad hasn't had a lot of game time. If he had a run of games, he would do better. But he has had some moments like the other guy that was just on, I forget his name. He did do the flick on against AC Milan. We won 1-0, and it was Ahmad's goal. That's true.
I totally hear that, but we didn't win 1-0. We drew 1-1 that day.
Oh, sorry. Well, they tied it. It was the header.
It was the great Pogba who's playing in the Europa League who scored the goal when we won. But for me, I'm not taking the goal away from him because he's a young kid. But let's be honest, the goalkeeper was in no man's land. If the goalkeeper's in his goal, that goal doesn't happen. I've not seen it. Listen,
but it happened, man. It happened.
Maybe because I'm older than a lot of people that I talk to on Twitter. And I've seen United players come through. I've seen someone who, as shit as Luke Chadwick come through. And when he first come on the pitch, he will take players on. Like you'd see him take players on. I've seen any player that come on as a winger for United under Ferguson. Any player, no matter how bad they were, and if they didn't achieve anything, they would come on and you'd get a bit excited about it. You would get a little bit excited. I've not seen that with him. Reason why I get heated and that conversation got heated is because Daniel James, Luke Shaw before him, Marcus Rashford before that, McTominay, Fred, they're always the scapegoats. Lindelof is a scapegoat. It used to be Jones and Smalling were the scapegoats. There's always scapegoats at United. There's always scapegoats for the bigger players not turning up. Anthony Martial is now the scapegoat. This will keep happening. Like, what about the game Daniel James hasn't played and we got played off the park? What happened then? What about the games that Scott McTominay and Fred haven't played, like Sheffield United, and Sheffield United beat us? What about then? They're always a scapegoat, and I'm bored of it. That's why I said I'm coming off of Twitter, because I'm bored of listening to fans always try to pick on the weak target. I don't go to the weak target when I'm watching a team. I look at the best player and see what he done on the pitch when there's good enough players there. Don't get me wrong. If you're going to put Bruno in today's game and he looks bad, that's because the players around him were not good enough. But when you're putting Bruno in the team with Pogba, with Rashford, with Cavani and all that, and we don't look great, I'm sorry, I look around at Bruno, I think, what have you done today? I look around at Pogba, I think, what have you done today? I look around at Rashford. Rashford hasn't been great of late. I know what the problem is with Rashford, but Rashford, and I've always stuck up with Rashford. Matt can tell you that. I'm Rashford to the core. But over the last 6 weeks, I started to see why. And Rashford hasn't been great. He's been poor. Really, really poor. And this is why I say we haven't got cover. This is what I'm worried about. We don't have cover. That's why Sancho should have been there, because you could have maybe played Sancho instead of Rashford. But I know why Rashford looks that poor. I look at the Fulham game. What players did we have out there against Fulham? Pogba, Bruno, Cavani, Rashford. We looked terrible against Fulham. We looked terrible. Before Rashford came on, we had Greenwood. So people say Rashford's a problem, Rashford's shit. But Rashford didn't start against Fulham. And we looked terrible. Absolutely terrible against Fulham. The only goal we scored was a kick up from our goalkeeper. Fortunately, Bruno don't touch it, because if he does, it's offside. The Fulham defence, great. This is smart from Cavani, because he's hanging off the defenders and he's running to space. The Fulham defenders are standing at the halfway line thinking, we can catch Cavani, but they're so wide apart that when the ball's come to Cavani, and what's Cavani done? Great finish. But other than that, for 87 minutes, Cavani hasn't had another shot. on goal against Fulham. This is relegated Fulham. Their centre backs are dog shit. Cavani hasn't had another shot. Forget on target at goal. I look at what did Bruno do that game where I think to myself, wow. What did Pogba do that game against Fulham where I think to myself, wow. What did Greenwood do where I think to myself, wow. None of them done anything. But when I went on Twitter, what was it? Fred and McTominay are shit.
Yeah, you
Fulham.
can't fall into whatever social media is gonna say.
I know,
you
bro,
can't
but
fall.
Mateo,
Yeah.
we're playing Fulham. I don't need
But I don't know.
Fred
I don't know
McTominay
if the
to be world
motivation
class.
was up, man. I think everyone's eyes is on Europa League. You do have to just detox from Twitter and detox from Instagram. Just
Bro,
turn on the game and enjoy it if you can. But you can't.
100%. That's fair. Where was the motivation when we was first and we played against Sheffield United at home and lost 2-1? People using this motivation. Where was the motivation?
I'm not sure.
Where was the
I
motivation?
can't answer that for you.
Where was the motivation against Leicester
what
in the
you
semi-final?
what you can't do is fight against me and fight against Matt and fight against the other guests we just had on. You know what I mean? Like that's not the way to go. There's a better way to express your points of views than.
Bro, he came on, didn't wait, and then butted in. You and me didn't have one falling out before that. You spoke, I didn't say a word. I spoke, you didn't
There's
say
not
a word.
a falling out. I'm just trying to level the playing field, man.
Everyone's very passionate about their team, and when you're trying to get your point across and you don't necessarily agree, I understand. Red Devil Studio, if you do want to come back in, we'll keep it civil. We'll try and keep it debatable. You know what I mean? Everybody has their opinions and trying to get it out. And if you don't agree with somebody's opinion, you are going to get a bit rattled. Of course you are. But look, if you want to come back in, mate, you're more than welcome. Let's change this subject then into what you think is going to happen on Wednesday and what you think the result is going to be before we end up in the next 10 minutes or so.
Why don't we hear from you a little bit, Matt? What are you thinking what are your concerns? Yeah, you haven't really spoken at all really this episode. Based on what we talked about? So recruitment, injuries, what else? Who would be starting? Are we going to get a surprise start from somebody?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm guessing Bailly will take the centre back place over Maguire, surely, right? I can't imagine there being anybody else to do that. Whether that's going to work out for us or not, I mean, no, Villareal haven't got the best team on paper, but they've got a good squad. They got that, they've done all right. I mean, they lost 2-1 to Real Madrid yesterday, didn't they? So they definitely can battle like some of the top teams. So a little bit worried, I guess. Emery's done well in the Europa League finals in previous years. So I think we should have it over the line now. This is easier than the Ajax final, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, look, I'm not too concerned. I'm just worried about how the players are going to feel like playing on Sunday than playing on Wednesday. Because I know you look at the Champions League final, they've got a very long time to rest.
Can you get down there?
A little bit.
Oh, he's driving me mad. Yeah, look.
I think we're going to win it maybe 3-1 or so. Big up to Anthony Herbert in the chat. And Red Devil Studio, thanks for coming on earlier as well, man. Much respect. So, yeah, what about you, Mateo and Pundit? What do you think about Wednesday's game?
Yeah, I think that the center back partnership is the main thing on everyone's mind. For all that, again, I actually rate Maguire and I defend him and for what it's worth, like the entire time that he's been signed, I haven't really been on his back at all, like because I don't fall into the trends of social media against this guy or that guy. I do think that there are some questions about Fred and McTominay, but I don't get on people's backs. Like after all, I support the team. I'm an optimist. I'm not really black and white, like negative, positive on everything. I try to see the good in everything. But yeah, the center back partnership. Back to that, I think that's our biggest concern. It could be Lindelof and Bailly. That's what it should be. Although Tuanzebe had a really good game against PSG. Shutting down Neymar and Mbappe because they were on the left wing that game. I don't think that Tuanzebe's had the game time to jump in the place of Maguire. So that's kind of the main concern right now. After that, I think that I think that the motivation is going to be high because of all the semifinals that we've been out of, and then the fact that we finally made it to a final, and I think that Ollie's job is, you know, I don't want to say on the line, but he does need to prove something at this point, and he's made it this far, so we really gotta full send it. And I don't see why not. I'm not concerned. I feel good about it. I feel good about the rest of the team that we have available. I think Maguire's the only one out. Rashford has been suffering with injuries for a while. He has been bad. I agree. I'm the first to notice when, like, I've been playing for a long time. I've been watching for a long time. My dad semi-pro, so I know, like, but I don't get on people's backs, but I'm the first to notice when someone's not playing up to the level. So I agree. Rashford hasn't been at the levels that he's needed to, but he hasn't had a break from injury. He had the back injury, a whole bunch of injuries, the shoulder, I don't know,
Sorry,
ankles.
Mattel, can I ask you a question? Why do you think Rashford's looking bad over the last six weeks plus? Do you think there's anything specific to it? Because I know what it is, or I think I know what it is, but I just want to know what your opinion was.
I think he just needs rest. I think that Ollie doesn't rotate enough.
And why do you feel Bruno's lacking in front of goal in the Premier League? He's got 2 penalty goals in the last 13 games.
Yeah, I think the last 6 months he hasn't been as good as the first year, as the first 12 months.
Why do you think that is? I've got a reason for it. I'll come right after. I just want to know if you had an opinion on it.
Well, why don't you tell me your reason? Because I don't really, I don't have it pinpoint. Maybe
my reason is Cavani. I'm not saying because he's a bad player. Cavani, there's no link up between Cavani and Bruno, Cavani and Rashford, Cavani and Greenwood. Cavani, if you watch it, when Bruno picks up the ball, Cavani's on the edge of the defender, he's trying to get in space for Bruno to deliver to him. And with Pogba in the team as well, Pogba will give the ball away a lot. So Bruno has to do more running. Where when you look at it, when Bruno's playing with McTominay and Fred behind him, he won't give the ball away as much. We'll try to just give it on to other players who will do things. Bruno doesn't have to track back as much. He can get in and around the box more. When Martial's a striker, Martial won't get as many goals, but he will link up play. If you look at it, Bruno gets more goals when he plays with Martial. That's a fact. Rashford gets more goals when he plays with Martial. And Greenwood gets more goals when he plays with Martial. When it was those four, it was always a problem because they would all interlink. They would all create for each other. It didn't matter who was getting the goal as long as someone was getting the goal. Where now, if you've seen, while Martial's been out for the last 3 months as well, it's Cavani starting most of the time or someone else starting up front, and the link-up play just isn't there. That's why Bruno's been struggling. For goals, Bruno's been struggling. I don't care about the Europa League. I don't want to hear about, Cavani and Bruno got this many goals in the Europa League. We're playing shit like Roma and Real Sociedad, who are not very good. They're not even in the top 2 in their country. So we should be playing in the Champions League. And that's where I think Rashford's lacking. Because if you look at it, Rashford used to have great link-up. You can see goals last season of link-up play between Rashford, Martial and Bruno. It would be a 1-2-3 pass and one of them would be through on goal. And then Greenwood came into that mix and we started seeing it when we had that counter-attack goal and Greenwood crosses it in from the left-hand side and Bruno volleys it. I'm trying to think of who it was against. It might have been Brighton or someone. That's now missing. So where Cavani will pick up a goal or two, and he has been good in games, you'll see less from players like Rashford and Bruno. That's just my opinion. Listen, I could be completely wrong. I just look at how many goals these players have been scoring. For me, Rashford and Bruno being our 2 main goal scorers and being fantastic, all of a sudden have a dip. I have to look at why. Yes, they may be being overplayed a bit as well, but I have to look at why are you guys not scoring enough goals? What has happened? What changed? And the only piece that changed, or the 2 pieces that changed was we're not playing a proper front 3. A lot of the time we're playing Rashford out of position and playing Pogba on one of the wings. And we're also not playing Martial. That's the only 2 aspects that have changed. The four at the back are the same. The midfield is sort of the same. The only 2 aspects that have changed is Cavani and Pogba coming in. And
Right, yeah.
I feel that's what the problem is. I don't know if you agree with that, if you disagree with that.
Yeah, I think that could be a microscopic thing about like who the starting 11 is and how the tactics are gonna go. Like you said, if Fred and McTominay are like just sitting at CDM and then Bruno has more time to go forward, he has that luxury. Versus if he's playing with Pogba, he has to have a little bit more defensive responsibilities. That could be a reason. Maybe because Cavani is taking shots more on his own, but it's not like Bruno's passing the ball to Cavani and Cavani is missing a shot. That doesn't happen either. And actually, there was some link up play between Bruno and Cavani in the Roma game where
In the
we
Roma
won.
game, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
So
I didn't mean he's passing to Cavani. I mean that there's not always enough space for him because Cavani's occupying the space where Bruno wants to be.
Yeah.
Cavani's occupying that space, and when you've got Pogba out in the wing, Pogba's not going to beat a man and whip across him. So
Yeah.
Bruno can't get into the box. Then he's got to go out. If you watch the Fulham game, it's maybe one of the worst games I watched of United. And the reason why I say that is I knew we couldn't be, there was no one that was going to dribble past the man. There was no one that was going to pick up the ball and go past 2 or 3 players. Nobody was going to do that. And that was the problem for me. It had to be, we had to pass our way. You know, like Arsenal a few years ago where you knew they wanted to pass it into the net. There was no one that was going to have a good shot. There was no one that was going to take a few players. And Arsenal literally used to try to pass the ball into the net. And that's what we had to do against Fulham. There's a reason why we scored 1 goal, which was a freak goal. Fantastic goal, don't get me wrong, taking nothing away from Cavani. But it's a freak goal. It's not saying he's going to score every week. He might never score a goal like that again. We didn't score another against relegated Fulham. And no one could tell me, oh, it's because the motivation wasn't there, because we didn't do it against Sheffield United. And like I said to you, we didn't do it against Leicester. That was an important game because that was a knockout game. In the semi-final, we would have been in the final. And I believe we would have beat Chelsea. I believe if we got to that final, we would have beat Chelsea. And I'm used to United. This is what I said. I've been watching United since the 90s. I'm used to United always having at least 2 wide men who will take players on, who will beat players, who could take 2 or 3 players out in a flash. They took 2 or 3 players out of the game. When I was watching that game, we know Greenwood can go past a player or 2. That's not really his signature thing. His signature thing is you want him in and around the box where he can score a goal. Cavani ain't going to go past no one. Bruno said himself that he's not very fast. If he had Rashford's pace, he'd probably win the Ballon d'Or. You don't really see Bruno pick up the ball and go past 2 or 3 players on a regular occasion. He can do it close. If he's just outside the box, you might see him do a piece of skill, take a player out of the game. And Pogba ain't going to pick up the ball down on the left wing and just dink past 2 or 3 players. It's not what he does. He'll come more central. The only outlet we really had that might, with pace, might do something was Luke Shaw. And that's what worried me because Rashford wasn't even on the pitch. That, for me, is the most worrying thing at United. We've gone from having players like Sharp, Kanchelskis, Beckham. I know Beckham wasn't the fastest, but Beckham could do anything. He could dribble, which people don't know. Watch the Real Madrid game when he went through 3 of their players and smashed it in. Beckham, he could find anyone. You had Ryan Giggs, who we know could
but
dribble.
it's been a long time since we were on that level of team,
I agree, but
you gotta remember we came
had
from
it with Nani.
Moyes, Van Gaal,
Bro, we even had it with
Mourinho. Like it's been a while. You got to focus on where we were at 1 year ago, where we at 2 years ago, and then how we're gonna go from that team then to like the next team over. You can't think about 10, 15 years
Matteo,
ago.
I totally agree with you. I'm not just talking about 10, 15 years ago. We used to have it with Nani. Nani would want to take a player.
But like you can't talk in what ifs. You can't
we're changing identity.
Cavani
And if you
had
look
a
at
freak
it,
goal against Fulham,
if you
and,
look
and
at
this and that, and
we're papering over cracks.
Back then we
Matteo.
did this. Like
Matteo, we're papering over cracks. We was top and we finished second, 12 points behind City, who, if you look at it, only finished on 86 points. That's not a high.
We dropped a lot of points. We dropped a lot of points.
And
Sheffield,
I have to
Arsenal.
look at why. I have to look at
Spurs.
why.
We started poor. We had chances when we were top. Like it was inconsistent. It was inconsistent from us.
And I'm just pointing out why I think it's like that. I think United have changed from what they sort of had that last season. The pace up front. That's why Bruno looked fantastic when he came in as well. And we knew we could score a goal with any one of those 4 players could score a goal from anything. And that was Rashford, Martial, Greenwood and Bruno. You knew you could get a goal from absolutely anything with them. And we've just gone backwards this season in that sense, where Cavani hasn't got that pace. Pogba's not a winger. I don't care if Pogba's not the best player on the pitch in his position, he shouldn't be starting. That's worrying for me because he's not better than Bruno in that number 10 role. And apparently he can't sit in a 2 like he does for France. That's a worry for me. We've gone out and bought enough players. We've put enough midfielders next to Paul Pogba. I'm not saying they're all great, but we've put enough next to him. We put people like Fellaini next to him. Then we put Matic next to him. Then we put Fred next to him. We put McTominay next to him. And it doesn't work. We've put you in the number 10 role. You're not better than Bruno Fernandes. So you're not the best in your position at our team. And you're not good enough to sit next to these players. Do you know why our fans really want someone like Declan Rice this summer? Because they think, put him next to Pogba and Pogba all of a sudden transform into the best sitting midfielder in the world. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't work like you can't.
He's not a sitting midfielder. He's like if a sitting midfielder's quote unquote the number 5, you need still a number 6 and a number 8. The number 8 would be Bruno and number 6 would be Pogba, which it's just like a half like
I know what you mean.
midfield 3.
I know what you mean, but we
do need a holding CDM that can do the job of Fred and McTominay.
What would you say Pogba's best attribute is?
Passing, dribbling,
passing. The first thing you said was passing, right?
Yeah.
Mostly long range passes. We agree?
Yeah, I would even say short range, like even interplay.
Where should a player whose best attribute passing, where should he be playing?
Wherever is convenient for the rest of the midfield. I agree with your concern. Like, it is concerning that like he's not, like you explained, he's not better in number 10 than Bruno. He's not gonna bench Bruno. If we're talking about like the formation that Ollie's been going with, the 4-2-3-1, he's not gonna bench the number 10. He's not ideal in a 2 CDMs because if there's a team that attacks us, he's not the best defensively. Even though he's tracked, he's giving away penalties. Like, bro, I see what's going on. Like, I know what is wrong and his weaknesses, but we also try to have to get the best out of him because he at Juve, when we bought him, he was an attacking midfielder. He was a left attacking midfielder. That's when he was scoring all those goals and those highlights, those clips. When we got him from Juve, he was an attacking midfielder. He's transformed into a bit more of a holding midfielder, but that's why I think that we should get a CDM that can lessen his responsibilities. Matt, you want to say something?
Yeah, we got to end up now because we're getting up to the hour mark. Just wanted your predictions of Wednesday, what you think the score will be. Then we'll shout out your socials. We could talk about Man U all day, couldn't we? We really could, mate. Pundit first, mate. What do you think the result's going to be Wednesday?
2-1. I don't think it's going to be a great game.
Mateo?
I think 3-1. I think we rested like the players for at least the last 2 games. I don't see why not. We won't be scoring goals. Everyone's rested. I think it's a big loss, Maguire, but I think like a 2-1 or a 3-1 with a Man United victory.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on today, and Red Devil Studio, shout out to you, mate. Got a little bit heated there, but it always does with Man United, mate, and you, Pundit, as well. You know, you bring that fire. It's all right. I love it. Shout out your socials, Pundit. Where can we find you, mate? Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, bro. I won't really be on that much anymore, so I reckon I'm going to close my account down after Wednesday. So there's no point in me shouting them out. I've literally got bored of it, bro. Like I said, it will always be the weakest targets that will get picked on at United. It used to be Rashford, then it used to be Shaw. It just shows you, even with what Matteo said there about Maguire, he's always like Maguire. I've always had Maguire's back, and just 3 months ago, people were saying Bailly's our best centre back when fit, and that Maguire's shit. Now we're seeing without Maguire, like it makes me wonder what these fans watch. Because our 2 best defenders at the moment are Maguire and Shaw. Actually, you could throw AWB in there as well. But I know fans out there that hate AWB. They want Dalot to come back and be our right back. I just think those three defenders are unbelievable. But it's the easy targets to pick on. So yeah, like I said, I've got bored of it, mate. I really have. I'm hearing Cancelo. We should have gone. One kid told me that we should have gone for Cancelo. He's got less goals than AWB, and he's playing for Man City. And there's no question that AWB isn't great. He isn't the best going forward, but defensively, he's the best right back in the world. It's not even close. But yeah, that's just me. But listen, like I said, thanks for having me on. You know, I always get heated. It might sound rude, but I won't apologise to no one. That's just the way I am. I get heated. I wasn't rude to Matteo. I won't be, because we was both letting each other speak. This guy just jumped in and then thought he could jump in and tell me that Ahmad's better than James. And I'm not having it, because I've seen games where I'm not saying James is world class, but I've seen games where James really helped us pull it out of the bag, and he was fantastic against Leeds when we beat them 6-2. And there's been games that he's really good. There's been games where James has scored and helped us, otherwise we would have been in trouble. I was at United when we lost to Palace, but James scored that goal. It wasn't his fault that we kept letting go after going 1-1. We let in a goal. Like that's just mean it. One guy was bought for 40 million euros. The other one was bought for 15 million pounds, and is happy to be a squad player. Like, he didn't come with a price tag and a name that he's the next Lionel Messi. Like, but he's the one that's hated at United.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right, mate. Matteo, where can we find you, bro? Thank you for coming in too, man.
No problem, bro. It's always a pleasure. What's up, people? So yeah, you can find me on Matteo at YouTube, on Mate Chocolate on Twitter, Mate Chocolate 94 PlayStation. You'll catch me around again on Football United. You can find me on Twitter, linked with all these other guys. And then yeah, hope to be on soon. Hopefully it's a victory on Wednesday, and then that's really what we're all praying for. That's what we're all, that's where the energy's going.
Matteo, sorry, can I ask you one question just before we go? David De Gea. Because I take it you're Spanish, right? Well, you're Spanish, so you probably know more and what's said in Spain about De Gea. I saw that he wasn't the starting goalkeeper for Spain in their last couple of games. How do you feel about De Gea?
Well, I'm not from Spain. I'm from Colombia.
Oh, okay.
I've grown up. No, it's okay. I just wore Spain today to big up Juan Mata, because maybe that was the last time we'll be seeing him. I don't know.
True.
But
we should not.
No, again, it goes back to the media. It goes back to social media, and then the newspapers and everything like that. Like, they're pushing the agenda. So that's why you can't fall into the toxicity. You got to just detox, Unofficial. You got to detox. You got to pull out. You just got to pull out, detox. Because if you're going to fall into the sensationalism of Dean Henderson's better, he's coming from Sheffield United, and that the levels are not there. And there's things that he does good, like sometimes coming for crosses, being vocal, but De Gea is the best.
Sorry to butt in, bro.
De Gea. Well, let me finish, bro. You butted in.
Short and sweet.
So you asked me. So yeah, De Gea is the best reaction shot stopper in the world.
Yeah, all I want to say there was, forget Dean Henderson. What do you feel about De Gea? Don't compare him to Dean Henderson. Compare him to if we could go out and get any goalkeeper right now. Or do you feel forget who the number 2 is? It's like whether people
I think De Gea has weaknesses. He doesn't. He's a little bit hesitant off his line. I don't think he's very vocal, and I don't think he comes for crosses well. Those are my issues with him. But I think he's the best, and still probably the best reactionary. Like reactions, like a cat. Yeah. He's the best in the world still, and Roma was evidence of that.
Do you feel that's enough to be the starting goalkeeper for Manchester United? That you have a lot of weaknesses.
I'm not sure. That's a bit of a concern long term, but let's wrap it up. I think he's still better than Dean Henderson.
Okay.
Right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Like, press subscribe, share, like, and we will be back again very soon. Guys, thank you for tuning in. And come on, United on Wednesday. Let's try and lift a cup and Ole's first, at least. You know what I mean? So I'll be happy to see that. Everybody, take care. Have a good rest of your weekend. See you later.
All right, guys. Later.